In this lesson, we'll be talking about perimeter and area. In the end of the lesson, you should be able to use Pythagorean Theorem to find the perimeter and the area of a figure. So what is the opposite of squared? Square root. If the area of a square is 25, what is the side? That means I need to take the square root of 25 and get 5. If the perimeter of a square is 20, what is the side? Well, I would divide that by 4 because there's 4 sides in a square, so each side would be 5. What's the difference between a square and a cube? A square is a 2-dimensional shape and a cube is a 3-dimensional shape. What's the opposite of square root? Squared. So perimeter means the distance around the figure. So you add up the sides to get the perimeter. The area is the amount of surface that's covered. So those are always in units squared. The formulas that you have to know are the area of a rectangle, triangle, and square. So remember, rectangle is always length times width, or base times height. Triangle is 1/2 base times height. And circle is pi r squared. So in this rectangle, we'll need to find the perimeter and area. So you can see that we have one side of the rectangle, but we don't have the other side. So we're not going to be able to find the perimeter or area without that side. So there is a triangle, and you're given the diagonal of the triangle. So we need to find this side here. And if we have 2 sides of a triangle and need to find the third, we use Pythagorean Theorem. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. A or b, doesn't matter, is 35, and c is 37. C is always the longest side, and it's always the diagonal. So a squared plus 1,225 equals 1,369. Subtract 1,225 from each side. You get a squared equals 144. Take the square root of both sides, and a equals 12. So now that we have a is 12, we can find the perimeter. So the perimeter, we just add up the sides, 2 lengths, 2 widths. So 2 of the side 12 and 2 of the 35, so that's 24 plus 70, which is 94 feet. To find the area, that's just length times width. So 12 times 35 is 420 feet squared. This says find the perimeter and area of the figure. So the first thing we're going to have to do is find this height of BD. So in order to find that height, do you see the triangle here of 3 and 5? And so I'm missing the third side. So I'm going to have to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And it's the b or a, either one, that's missing. The 5 is the longest side, that's the hypotenuse. So a squared plus 3 squared equals 5 squared. So a squared plus 9 equals 25. Subtract 9 from both sides. A squared equals 16. Take the square root of both sides, and a equals 4. So we'll write 4. The next thing we have to find is the length of AB. So we have to find this side. So again, we've got this triangle here. We've got 2 sides, and we're missing the third. This time the side that we're missing is the hypotenuse. So we use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So we have 7 squared plus 4 squared equals c squared. 7 squared is 49, 4 squared is 16 equals c squared. We add 49 and 16 together, and that's 65 equals c squared. And then take the square root of both sides, and we get 8.06. The next thing we're going to do is find the perimeter. So perimeter, let's write this in here, the perimeter is adding up the sides. So if we add up the sides, we're going to do 8.06 plus 5 plus 3 plus 7. The 4 is not part of the perimeter. 4 is inside. Perimeter is just the numbers on the outside. So if we add those numbers up, we get 23.6 inches. The area for a triangle is 1/2 base times height. So 1/2 times the base here, which is 10, because it's the whole base we're looking at, because we're trying to find the whole figure, times the height of 4 is our area. Name the shapes used in this composite figure and the formulas to find the area. So I'm going to break up this composite figure into a half circle, a rectangle, and a triangle. So the half circle would be pi r squared, and since it's only half of the circle, we're going to divide by 2. The rectangle would be length times width, and the triangle, 1/2 base times height. You can see the triangle, this would only be 12 because this part of the rectangle is 20, and that would mean the rest is 12. So what is the formula for the area of a rectangle? Area equals length times width. And for the formula for the area of a triangle, 1/2 base times height.